The fantasy playoffs are right around the corner. So we've got some guys to add to your team to help you get to the next level, baby.
Perfect.
We are back. Welcome back to the Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Bandy. That's Trey, and the time is now, buddy. What is happening?
What's going on, man? What's going on, man? We are getting there. We are almost to the playoffs. People start clinching that playoff spot. People fighting for it. You know, people making comebacks, man. You know, it's that time of the year.
And a couple people in a couple leagues clinching something else, if you know what I'm saying. Hoping and dreaming they're going to get there, baby. But, guys, we're here with some waiver wire ads to get you to hopefully get a playoff spot, hit even that 6th spot, man. I've won the playoffs coming in at the last minute. I've won the whole thing coming in at the 6th spot. It can happen for you. I hope you haven't given up at this point in your league. I'm pumped, Trey. The playoffs, man. This is what it's all about, baby.
Yes,
you ready to get some money, some fantasy glory?
Oh, I'm ready.
Me too, man. Me too. Like I said, we do have some waiver wire ads for you. But first, man, we gotta talk about our friends at Pro-Am Belts. If you're looking for some fantasy bling to bring in the fantasy glory for your season, man. Pro-Am belts, man. They make beautiful, beautiful belts. They've got templates. He does custom work. My guy over there is a genius, man. And this isn't no ordinary, just like plastic belt. This thing is heavy, man. You're going to want to rock this bad boy everywhere you go. Tell everybody that you are the champion of your league, man. Pro-Am belts. Go down in the description, man. Use the code 10OFF, 100FF for the audio listeners. And you're going to get 10% off of a custom belt for your fantasy league, Trey.
They're beautiful.
They are so beautiful, man. So beautiful. But hey, we're here for a reason. That reason is waiver wire ads. Let's go ahead and jump into some. Let's start off with our quarterbacks. And you know we can't talk about those ads without just jumping it right off with my man, famous Jameis Winston, Trey. Woo! 22% rostered in sleeper leagues, went 35 of 58. 497 yards, almost a Monday Night Football record, by the way. 4 touchdowns, 2 of those to the other team, as Trey was telling me earlier. Yeah, he looked great. I mean, of course, they didn't win the game, man, but for fantasy, I had him on the bench in a league, Trey, and it hurt. I still won, but it hurt. I could have won by a lot more, you know?
No doubt. Yeah, man. Jameis Winston, man, you know, doing his thing, coming out and just giving glory to God, you know. He's praying God will take away the pick sixes. And,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure everybody else that had Jameis on their roster are. But, I mean, yeah, dude was going crazy. What I liked about Jameis is he made football look fun. You know what I mean? That's the kind of quarterback that you want. It's going to make it look fun. You know, whether you're throwing touchdowns to his team or the other team, touchdowns are being scored, baby. And I liked how he kept his composure. You know, he threw a pick six, come right back in, 74 yards down for a touchdown, no problem. You know, just shake it off kind of deal. And that's what you want out of a quarterback. And, you know, so because you can always work on those things, but, you know, just keeping that composure, that's one of the hardest things to do in a game.
You're right about that, buddy. You're right about that, man. And he's got a pretty juicy fantasy schedule coming up, man. Listen to this. We got KC, which, you know, they have not been playing great football, and that is a good amount due to the defense, Trey. Cincinnati Bengals, another team that's been struggling to keep up, and the defense, that being, and then the Miami Dolphins. That's his fantasy schedule coming up.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Sounds juicy. Sounds very juicy. Look, Jameis feeling himself, man. And I'm feeling himself. Good to see the interceptions coming back, I guess, with Jameis Winston. That's what we love about him, man. He's not afraid to air the ball. He's an old-fashioned gunslinger, Trey, and I'm happy to see him on the field, man. I know he's happy giving the glory to God, Trey.
No, speaking of old-fashioned gunslingers, a guy that's also not afraid to air it out. The next guy on our list, Russell Wilson, baby. A guy that I've talked about since the preseason that he was going to be great in fantasy. Just give him the opportunity. I knew he was going to be a great waiver wire ad, and now he's doing his thing, man. He's locked in. He completed 29 of 38 passes, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 9 passes of 20 yards or more. Okay, that's what you want in fantasy, baby.
Absolutely.
He's got George Pickens out there, Pat Freiermuth, all these guys, Najee Harris, and the only thing I worry about is George Pickens getting suspended at any moment for anything. Even the coach said that he's got to stop being so stupid and mature up a little bit.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely a thing. But Russell Wilson, man, just doing his job, airing it out, having a great time, really. The Denver Russell Wilson just was depressed, and I just hated it, But I feel like he's kind of gained a little bit more of his Seahawks self back, and he's out there doing his thing, man. I'll get you some Russell Wilson on your team.
You're right, man. Watching Russ out there, he looked a lot like the old Russ, just slinging the ball around, like confident, making confident decisions. And I gotta give you credit, man. When you came into the season, you're saying Russell Wilson. I'm like, I mean, we saw what he did in Denver with a new team. I don't know, man, but I love you, big dog. But you were right. You were right, man. You were right about Russell Wilson coming in and doing his thing, man. And I got to give you your credit, Trey. Yes, but let's keep it rolling here. Keep it rolling with another guy on my list. I'm not happy to have him on the list, but he's on the list. I'm talking about Caleb Williams, 55% roster, which is slightly over our threshold, but that's okay. 20 of 39, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a head scratcher of an ending game, I guess, with Caleb Williams. Insane that way that whole thing shook out, by the way. But you know what? He's playing good enough to be fantasy relevant. I'll say that. He's been consistently okay. I could say that. He's thrown at least 2 touchdowns in the last 2 or 3 games, which is good for your fantasy, playoffs, your fantasy league. You're trying to make it into the playoffs, man. So if you need Caleb Williams, I know there's got a good amount of buys next week as well. He could be a guy you could stash on your team, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, as much as I hate Caleb Williams, this coming up week, there's a lot of really great quarterbacks on bye. Yeah. So if you need a filler, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Last guy on our list, though, another guy that you probably don't want to add to your team, but he's doing okay. Aiden O'Connell, baby. He come in, completed 23 of 35 passes, 340 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's his first action since week 7. He had that thumb injury. He arguably outplayed Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he still lost, and somehow the Patrick Mahomes thing happened where they win in the last 15 seconds of the game. Yeah. They did, just to talk about the Chiefs real quick, they did say that this is the worst winningest team in the history of the NFL.
Hey.
I think they have a 51-point differential all year. You know what I mean? So they're only 51 points from their opponent, which is insane. 90% of their games are won by 3 points or less.
It's crazy.
But O'Connor's passing yardage total was easily a new career high. Multi-touchdowns, doing his thing, and the chemistry that he has with Brock Bowers. I mean, Brock Bowers had 10 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. And that I guarantee you that's not going to stop. And I think Aiden O'Connell will be, and it's crazy to me how the Raiders get so much better at the end of the year once they're out of playoff contention. As soon as they realize they're not making the playoffs, this team just starts going crazy, going nuclear.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and it's like maybe we should just not allow them to be in the playoffs from week 1, and they'll actually, maybe go undefeated.
It's tough. It's tough for Raiders fans, Trey. Like, there are another bunch of fans that are just really into their team and very loyal, and it sucks for them, man, because they can't get the quarterback position right, man, and that's what it's all about. The last couple of years, they've had Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy G whenever he was healthy,
Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr, and he was probably the best one out of all those, which is sad, but he was probably the best one. But yeah, I'll tell you this, Aiden O'Connell is also keeping my guy Jacoby Myers fed, a great flex option for me every week because of that. So appreciate that, my guy Aiden O'Connell. But yeah, like Trey said, a lot of buys this week, a lot of good quarterbacks on buys this week. If there's a quarterback in this list, that can probably help you out, at least, help get you a W to add to your team. Now, before we get into the running backs, Trey, I just want to go back to Caleb Williams for a second. I want to discuss, because we haven't actually talked about this on air or out of air. Let's talk about that Thanksgiving game. 32 seconds on the clock. The Bears are there, and it looks like they're trying to hurry, but are they? Can you give me your take? What was going on?
Yeah, so my take is, regardless of anything that's going on, right, regardless of the mindset of how they planned on doing it, everything set aside, when Caleb Williams took a sack, in that moment, everyone on the field should be calling timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the coach. I mean, everyone on the field should be calling a timeout. When you are trying to get in field goal range and your quarterback gets sacked, the only thing you can do is stop the clock, right? That's the only play. That's the only move there.
Yeah.
And no one did. No one stopped the clock. They all just jumped back up, tried to get back to the line, did an audible, right? Yeah. Had time to call an audible.
Right.
And then, and threw up an incomplete pass with 0 seconds left on the clock. Game over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just all around, just terrible decision-making by every single player on the team.
You're right.
The linemen should have all stood up and did like this. I'm like, we're not rushing, we're timing.
I don't think that they're allowed to. I think the quarterback and I don't know if they're allowed to call a timeout. I think it's like
sure, but I'm saying they should have went on strike.
What,
you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing nothing. Call a timeout.
At the very least, hurry up, dude. And you know what? Caleb Williams wouldn't snap the ball. I mean, he's not the snapper, but it's like they wouldn't snap the ball. He's at the line, like trying to get things.
He had to call. He called an audible at the line.
Oh my God, bro. I mean, he's a rookie, right? Well, I mean, it's just your coach's job that's gone now. I mean,
even as a coach, if I hear my rookie quarterback calling an audible in a situation where we're running out of time, I'm calling a timeout right there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling an audible? We need to get a kick here. Timeout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a 52-yard field goal if they would have called a timeout from the sack.
Really? Wow. Insane. But you know what, though? The last couple of weeks, how many of the Bears games have come down to a field goal and it was missed also? So maybe that's something else that they, it doesn't matter at this point. But I'm just saying, maybe that's something else that was going through their minds. I mean, call timeout.
I guess, but you don't give up on your kicker. I mean, look at the Ravens. They're not giving up on Justin Tucker, who has missed like every game-winning kick they've needed.
Well, let's talk about Justin Tucker just for a quick second, man. This is what you get when you are a cocky kicker and you kick field goals. You're just like, it's what I do. I watched him do that for at least a season or two, and now he's getting what he deserves. That's what you get for being so cocky, Justin Tucker. I'm sorry to get in on a kicker at this juncture in his career, but I'm just saying. Anyways, we got off on something there. That's okay. We've got some running back waiver wire ads if you're still watching at home. Let's get to some running backs, Trey. I'm going to start us off, man, with Chris Rodriguez, 2% rostered in sleeper leagues. I'm just going to start by saying, my running backs aren't the greatest, but, if you need something or some stashes, these could be some guys to help you out. Look, 2% rostered in sleeper leagues, went 94 yards in a touchdown, okay? Austin Eckler's on IR. So Chris Rodriguez for the Commanders. McNichols is technically the number 2 back on this team, but Rodriguez might have carved himself out a role in the offense. And I wouldn't go grabbing Chris Rodriguez and starting him next week, but he might be worth watching. If he has another 100-yard, almost 100-yard game, touchdown game, he could be worth a flex in the playoffs, Trey.
Yeah, man, definitely. I've heard good things about Chris Rodriguez even before this time, and 94 yards and a touchdown, that ain't nothing,
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about the next guy on our list because for me, it's probably the greatest ad this week out of all the running backs. And basically all these other running backs is if this guy's not available in your league, but if this guy's is available, I'm dropping all my fab I have left.
Ooh.
I mean, and that's Isaac Guerendo. It's just one of those things where, Christian McCaffrey's knee, Jordan Mason's ankle, both of them in line to be placed on the IR. And Guerendo's expected to take over as the Niners starting running back. And we know what the Niners do with their running back. They put a lot of yards on them, a lot of miles on those guys. Mm-hmm. And Isaac Guerendo, we've seen him come in, he's averaged 5.9 yards per carry. He's gotten 42 carries so far this year, 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's had 5 catches for 19 yards on 6 targets. And he's built like a Christian McCaffrey type back. He's 6 foot, 221 pounds, runs a 4.3340.
Okay.
I mean, this dude's a monster. He's coming in, fresh. He's already learned the offense. He's got his chance to kind of roll in, and now it's his opportunity to come in and show up and show out. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think that Isaac Garindo could be a league winner kind of guy, and just carry you through the playoffs type guy. Out of everybody that's on the waiver, that's the guy that I think can do it the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm dropping every bit of dollars I have.
Woo. I mean, basically, why not? I mean, you're almost there anyway.
Yeah, at this point,
what do you got to lose? Isaac Garindo, man, getting a shot. Good ad. I mean, it was like back to back. Christian McCaffrey on IR, PCL injury. Boom. All right, I went right there, got Shaq Mason, put him in my waivers, right?
Jordan Mason, yeah.
Jordan Mason, yeah. When I say Shaq, Jordan Mason in the waivers, right? And then bam, he's on IR too. And what the hell? But it makes sense. That's why Garindo got that touchdown at the end of the game, man. That's what happened. That's why he was even in the game. Listen, Isaac Garindo, probably one of the best ads on this list. Definitely. You heard your boy Trey, man, dropping a lot of fab. There's one game left. Why not?
Yep.
Moving on to the next guy on my list, you may have not even heard of this guy, and it's Sincere McCormick. 0% rostered in sleeper leagues, and this is a Raiders running back. Talking about the Raiders again, an undrafted rookie, so that's probably why you hadn't heard much about him. He was just elevated from the practice squad. Okay, the Raiders running back room is demolished. Mattinson's out with an ankle, Zamir White with a quad injury. My guy Sincere, what a name, 38% of the snaps last week, 12 carries for 64 yards. He might have carved himself out a role. I mean, there's a good chance that Mattinson or Zamir White could be back next week, and this may not even be worth anything. But if you need and you're thinking a stash to wait and see what happens, I mean, on 12 carries, he got 64 yards. That ain't nothing. You know what I mean? So keep a lookout for Sincere McCormick, Trey.
Yeah, man. I actually looked this guy up just because of his name. I'm like, that is a great football name. You know what I mean? Sincere McCormick. And anytime he writes a letter to anybody, he's got to sign it sincerely sincere, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, sincerely sincere.
But yeah, man, definitely, the Raiders, like I said, the Raiders are one of those teams that when it comes to this time of the year, they're out of playoff contention. They just kind of go crazy, and they give everybody opportunities, give everybody shots. Everybody has a role. And so Sincere, I sincerely believe he can do it.
Yeah, I bet you do, buddy. Bet you do.
Moving on to our last running back waiver wire ad. It's Zach Charbonnet, baby. And, he's had a little bit of a role all year. Kenneth Walker banged up here and there, and just always throwing himself out there to be banged up. You know what I mean? Just puts himself in tough positions. But Charbonnet has a little bit of a role already. That this past week he had 4 rushes for 28 yards. And then 2 of 3 targets, 13 yards. Not nothing crazy, but not nothing terrible. 10, 11 points. In some fantasy leagues. And, this week 14, there's some guys on bye, guys like Derrick Henry and these things. And, if you had, say, Austin Eckler on your bench, you had to move him to the IR. You got Derrick Henry on a bye. You got to drop him to the bench. You need a filler. Nobody out there but Zach Charbonnet. I think he's a great fill-in this week.
Sounds like from experience, my friend. Sounds like
I'm just saying in 3 leagues, I had Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry, and I had to move Austin Eckler to IR and then move Derrick Henry to the bench.
I'm in a league with Austin Eckler, and there is no IR. I'm like, what the hell? I might as well drop him anyways, right? I mean,
you have to at this point, right?
I mean, maybe.
I dropped old JK.
I seen you. I was like, what? What happened? I forgot he got hurt.
On a quick tangent, JK on IR, right? But he'll be back for the most people's championship week, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to have that that battle. I didn't want to sit there and be like, do I start J.K. Dobbins off of 4 weeks injured? If he even comes back that week. He's eligible to come back that week. But I didn't want to give myself that decision to make. Drop him like it's hot.
I don't blame you. I picked up Jameis Winston, man, and now I've got in a super flex Jameis Winston, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. I know I'm starting Josh Allen, but Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston, who just put up 78 points in this league.
What are we going back to a couple years ago when you had what was it, Brady and who else?
It was Brady and I don't know who it was. Was it
Justin Fields?
It was Justin Fields. No, yes.
Yeah.
It was Justin Fields. And I'm like, nah, Fields gonna blow up. And you're like, what'd you say? You're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
You're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
And I did regret it. Brady went off that week, man. Brady went off.
Yep.
But yeah, Zach Charbonnet. I don't know how we got here from Zach Charbonnet. But Zach Charbonnet, good ad for your running backs. Man. That was the running back waiver wire ads. Before we get into some wide receivers, we got to talk about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, man, all year, if you have been playing Underdog Fantasy, you know they got those overs, the unders. They got the best ball every year, man. Underdog Fantasy's got everything you need for your fantasy league. Damn it, that was a good one. Everything you need for your fantasy league. All right, use code FLEXY and you're going to get your deposit matched up to 100%. Up to $100. Use code FLEXY at Underdog Fantasy, baby.
Do it.
Let's move on to the wide receivers, Trey. Some wide receiver waiver wire ads for week 14. Got to pop it off with a banger right here, my guy Adam Thielen. Thielen himself, my friend, 52% rostered, again, just slightly over that threshold, but I just wanted to talk about this guy, Trey. 8 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown. Hey, he still got it. Adam Thielen still got it, okay? One-handed catch on third down to keep the drive alive. Beautiful. Even against my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I can still say a beautiful catch by the old man, okay? One of those touchdowns, he would have had 2 touchdowns, by the way, but one of those touchdowns was taken off the board because of a bobble, which I'm glad. I mean, he didn't have full possession of the ball as he went down out of bounds, something like that, whatever. Sorry about your luck, Adam Thielen. A good flex option for week 14. And Carolina's only guy, really, the only guy in Carolina. So,
yeah, Adam Thielen believes wholeheartedly that was a catch. So,
I know he did. You could see it in his eyes.
He said he had full palm on that hand. That left hand never moved. He said maybe my right hand moved a little bit, but my left hand had a hold of that ball.
Sorry about it, Thielen.
But yeah, man, Adam Thielen, one of those guys, every year in fantasy that is going to have some blow up games, and then he's going to be hurt for a couple, and but he's one of those guys that you can throw in just about any week, and the opportunity is there for him to go nuclear. So
yes,
I like it.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to the next guy on our list, one of those guys that we really haven't talked about this year, but he's actually been very solid.
He really has. I was looking at his stats.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, man. Westbrook-Akine recorded 3 receptions on 8 targets, okay? Had 8 targets, only caught 3 for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns, okay? That's the problem, is Nick Westbrook-Akine is touchdown dependent.
Mm-hmm.
However, he's found the end zone 8 times in the last 8 games. So it's pretty consistent there. He has 10 touchdowns on only 23 receptions this year. I mean, that's a touchdown every other catch.
Wow.
So that's scary when you're looking at numbers like that. It's a very volatile stat, but I mean, it's staying consistent. Obviously, Levis is looking for him in the red zone, and he's getting touchdowns. So if you need a guy to get a touchdown on your team, I probably wouldn't add Nick Westbrook-Akine because now that we mentioned him, he probably won't get one. However, he could.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was looking at his stats, his points, and I'm like, how did this slip by me? He's been very solid the last few weeks. But 3 out of 8 catches, Akine. Maybe that's because Will Levis is a terrible quarterback. I don't know. But yeah, Westbrook-Akine, I mean, definitely a flex option at some point, right?
I mean, he's had games where he's 2 catches, 8 yards, and a touchdown. You know what I mean? You're like, oof.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the next week he's 3 catches, 17 yards, and a touchdown. You're like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Will Levis maybe starting to figure it out a little. I'm seeing Will Levis to Calvin Ridley popping up a lot. I'll say that. Moving on to the next guy on the list. This is a guy that I think he's made the list already, maybe last week or the week before that. I'm talking about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, baby. 2 catches, 36 yards, touchdown. This was a low week for him, honestly, but if you start him in a flex position, you probably weren't too upset. He got a touchdown, and he's gotten a touchdown in the last 3 games straight. He's been on the team for 3 games, Trey. So again, this is another guy that is going to be touchdown dependent, it looks like, but he is a deep threat for this team. So a lot of times he's going to catch those deep bombs if he can get his hands on it. I mean, Derek Carr's throwing him. He just got to get his hands around him. He's got a great connection with Derek Carr. Like I said, just big play upside week to week. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I started him last week, Trey.
Yeah, you think you're going to start him again this week?
I might. We'll see.
All right.
I'm playing you. I ain't going to tell you. I'm going to do like that one dude and take everybody out and just wait. And you'll see the last minute.
Yeah.
My dumbass probably forget and then start no roster.
Yeah, do that. Let's try that. Anyway, moving on to our last wide receiver waiver wire ad. And this is a very interesting one here. We got Trey Tucker, baby, for the Raiders. 1 catch, 58-yard touchdown, baby. All right, I know what you're thinking. You're like, obviously that was, a shot in the dark kind of situation. But Trey Tucker has actually been fairly relevant on this team. It's hard to trust him in fantasy. He's had 3 or fewer receptions 9 times through 12 games. However, the games where he's done the most is with Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell's back, baby. Yeah. And Trey Tucker and Aiden O'Connell really have that connection developed. And, he only got 1 target, but it was a 58-yard touchdown. This is their deep threat guy on the Raiders. And those are the kind of guys that when you're on the waiver wire and there's nothing out there, you're like, who has the potential for a 100-yard touchdown? Just one. Mm-hmm. And those are the guys you go get. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Trey Tucker, those type of guys that maybe only get 2 catches, but they get a touchdown, they get 40, 50 yards, and you're like, hey, stat line don't look that bad on the points.
Exactly, buddy, exactly. And he's quick, and he's fast, and he's agile. I think with a really good quarterback, Trey Tucker is if the Raiders get them, draft them a quarterback next year, a good one, I think Trey Tucker is going to be talked about more than he has been. That's for sure. Yeah. He definitely has the potential, man. And I feel like it's kind of being wasted over there. All right. That was our wide receiver waiver ads, man. A lot of good stuff going on over there. My guy Tommy popping in on the comments, man. What's up, guys? I was up by 41 points, and then the Broncos didn't want to play defense on Judy, and I lost by 2. Now it's win, and I'm in. Woo! Woof. Tommy. Always playing them, just playing it right there on the stretch, man. Just barely getting in. You like the Chiefs, huh? You like the Chiefs. I'm going to drop KC, so I should pick up Titans. All right. I'm going to drop Kansas City. So should I pick up Titans, Dolphins, Seahawks, Packers, or the Bengals, who actually got a pretty nice fantasy playoff schedule?
For me, out of those defenses, man, I'm rolling with the Seahawks all day. The Bengals, I don't care what their fantasy schedule looks like. I'm terrified of that Bengals defense, man. They just ain't doing it for me this year. Dolphins defense hasn't been that great. Titans defense, not that bad. Packers defense, not that bad. But to me, the Seahawks defense has the most opportunity for points.
It's definitely the obvious answer, man, especially after last week, man. They went off, man, and they're feeling themselves. So they're going to be a lot of ball hawks on that team for sure, man. So I like the Seahawks for that stretch, guys. Tommy, one more time. Lamar on a bye. Do I go Cousins revenge game, Levis, Carr, or Caleb if he's available?
Yeah, man. I like the Cousins revenge game, honestly. Kirk Cousins not available in the leagues that I have Lamar, so I'm going Levis in those leagues. I like Kirk Cousins as a revenge game. I think that'll actually be you like that kind of game,
Will Levis, huh? Against me, right?
Oh, yeah.
You better hope Westbrook Akine has himself one of them days.
Oh, we get 2.
Oh, man. Good stuff, buddy. Good stuff. We've got some tight ends coming right up for you, man. Tight end time on the waiver wire list, man. It's week 14, man. If you're looking for a tight end, we've got a couple for you. Let's pop it off right now with Juwan Johnson. This is a guy that's made the list a few times, that's for sure. 6% rostered, 5 catches for 36 yards, which is meh, okay? But he's tied for the most targets last week, okay? His workload's increasing due to Taysom Hill being out for the season. I know that hurts you, buddy.
Sucks.
Yeah. Did you have him?
I had him in 3 places.
Did you start him?
In 2 places consistently.
I mean, he was doing good, man. And that's why I think Juwan Johnson's going to get a little more focus, more targets. Derek Carr was looking at him when he was panicking. He was looking, Juwan, do you want to catch the ball right now? Because I'd appreciate it if you did.
I wanna.
Yes, sir. Juwan Johnson, a good tight end to add to your team, Trey.
No doubt. Another good tight end you can add to your team, a guy that we know and love and want more out of, Dawson Knox, baby. Look, Knox caught both of his targets, right? Count them, 2. 56 yards, though, all right? And with the way the tight end world is, that's not a bad stat line.
Nah.
He's the only Bills player to exceed 30 receiving yards this past week. As obviously they relied on the run in the snow. But Dalton Kincaid's knee hasn't suited up since week 10. And Knox racked up 94 receiving yards in 2 games, so 50 yards back to back. Let's make another 50. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's all I'm saying. If you want 2 catches and 50 yards, get you some Dawson Knox.
He knocks off them yards for you right there. Yeah, Dawson Knox. Playing a lot of word games with names tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Speaking of word names with games with word, the next tight end on this list, Luke Schoonmaker. I'm going to need you to have one before I get done here, okay? 17% rostered in sleeper leagues, 5 catches for 33 yards. Jake Ferguson is in concussion protocol, so they are peppering Luke Schoonmaker with targets. He would have gotten more if the Cowboys were playing from behind, but they actually had a nice little lead, so they weren't having to throw the ball with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush wasn't having to throw the ball very much. And he's got a juicy matchup against the Bengals next week, Trey. So Luke Schoonmaker, what do you got?
Yeah, man, his daddy was a shoemaker, but Luke is a playmaker, baby, and he's coming in doing his thing. Going against the Bengals, I think this is going to be a great matchup with the Cowboys and the Bengals. It's going to be a fire offense. Both teams have a dominant offense, but cannot win games. And I think Luke Schoonmaker is going to come in and make some plays.
Yeah. That's a good one. When you first said it, I was like, all right, he's reaching. But you came in with the playmaker, man, and you had me. You had me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving on to our last tight end on our list, Cole Kmet. All right. Kmet recorded 3 catches on 3 targets, caught all 3, 26 yards. Nothing crazy, but Cole Kmet been mildly consistent. He had 10 targets last week against the Vikings, and a little bit less this week. But the Bears, I think with the new, the firing of the coach and all these things, I think this offense is going to come out, especially in Week 14. It's something about that new coach effect where the offense kind of goes nuclear, and that's why there's a lot of Bears on our waiver wire ad, because these are the kind of guys that you just need to fill in for Week 14, and they're going to come in and they're going to show up and show out for their new coach, their new team, their new situation, to show that now we're better because we're better off because of the decisions that we've made. And Cole Kmet is one of those guys that could potentially do it. Yeah,
definitely. Your tight end slot has Kmet its match with Cole Kmet. With Cole Kmet, man. Cole Kmet he was really good. I mean, he was holding like a top 3 tight ends position for a lot of the beginning of the season. Really had a downfall when Caleb Williams had a downfall. He's starting to kind of pick it back up, man. So Cole Kmet, a great ad, man. I think I still actually got him rostered somewhere. I've just been holding on to him for a minute,
Yeah, man, I'm willing to commit that he gets a touchdown this week.
Really? You calling it? You calling it?
I'm going to place a commit. No.
Are you calling it?
I'm calling the commit. All right. I'm
all right. Hey, guys, those are some great waiver ads to get you through, baby. Get you through. Normally at this part of the show, we would be doing Trade That Dude, but your trade deadlines are probably up at this point. So now we're just going to skip straight to the gag bag. Now, the gag bag are players that we're done with. If you've been holding on to these guys the whole season and you're just now dropping them, then that's on you. But these are guys that are on our rosters right now that we are just done with. We want to drop them like they're hot. We don't want no more. Just stay away from my team because I don't want it. Whether it's a big decision or you just suck, please stay off my team, Trey. Who you got going in the gag bag this week?
Yeah, I got a big one this week, Bandy. So, this is one of those guys that I don't have rostered on any team.
Okay.
And probably the most devastating pick this year in fantasy. A guy that you just really knew was going to carry you to the playoffs and do his thing, but has just been absolutely disgustingly disappointing to you. And to top it all off, the week before the playoffs, he goes on IR. Christian McCaffrey. Throw him in the gag bag.
Oof. Yeah.
And I almost like want to give a little credit to Christian McCaffrey and say, let's throw Kyle Shanahan in the gag bag for all the secretive injury report stuff and how we didn't really understand the injury in the beginning and all those things. But at the same time, This dude, if you haven't already come off of Christian McCaffrey, you kind of deserve this, because the dude was out for 8-9 weeks on a calf injury, and then now he's on IR over a calf injury, and it's like, he come back for a couple weeks, and in that time he won 2 boom games. I'd have been like shipping him out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you still got Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you might need a gag bag yourself.
Yeah, man, it's sad, man. Think of how many people drafted CMC at the 101, Trey. You basically didn't have a first round draft pick.
Yeah, no, you just were like, here you go, you can have it.
And then you finally got one 24 picks later. Mm-hmm. That's when you drafted your first player. Now, I want to know if there's anybody out there in the world that actually drafted at the 101, drafted CMC, and is in playoff contention right now. Like, send me a DM, send me an email, fourthandflex@gmail.com. We'll talk about it on the show. But just send me an email if you actually did draft CMC at the 101 and are in playoff contention right now. It's just sad, buddy. I mean, it would have been hard for me, though. Like, if I had been waiting all season, and he didn't even have any great games. They weren't great, the 2 games that he did have. They were, man, at best, and it's because he was hurting, man. He wasn't being able to play his best ball. But yeah, it's tough, man. I don't think I would have been able to if I'd have been waiting all this time and he finally came back, played an okay game, and played. I would have been able to ship him off. I don't know if I could have.
Yeah, man, I get that. And, I did see another guy. Not only was it bad that you had Christian McCaffrey on your team, however, because he had Christian McCaffrey on his team, Christian McCaffrey took up 3 roster spots on his team because he had Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero on his team as well, just in case for injuries, right? Yeah. Both of those guys have been banged up and how things are working up. So Christian McCaffrey took up 3 spots on his team all year long and did nothing from it. Devastating.
Christian McCaffrey, throw him in the gag bag. A little late on the button there, buddy. Sorry about that. All right, my gag bag guy this week, man, is another guy that I had high hopes for. A lot of folks said that he wasn't going to do what he did last season this season, and I said nay. He would. He would come back. He would do what we want him to do. I was really high on this guy. I was getting him for value in the drafts I was drafting him in. He's on an offense where you would think that he wouldn't get the kind of work that he got last season. He has not lived up to the hype all year. You think you know who it is?
I do.
You do. He does. I'm talking about Raheem Mostert, the touchdown machine from last season. Raheem Mostert. Now, let me tell you, last week he rushed 5 times for 19 yards, and it may have been he was a leading rusher on the team. May have been his best game of the season. You know what I'm saying? Through 9 games, he's rushed for 236 yards on 65 carries. Mr. Double-digit touchdowns last season. You know what he's had this season? 2. I know he's been hurt, most hurt. That's what we used to call him when he was on the Niners. But come on, man. What's going on with the damn Dolphins? Like, you got Mostert. He's quick. He's fast. It just didn't pan out the way they wanted it to, Trey.
Yeah, man. The whole Dolphins team is the most hurt. I mean,
you're right.
It's crazy to know how much talent they have on that team, and they can't do nothing with it because they're all small and fast, and they get hurt a lot.
I mean, you're right. They're like a Kadarius Toney type of thing. Mm-hmm. Small, quick, jittery, but then you get hurt when it means the most.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert, throw him in the gag bag. This hurts. It hurts, Trey. Hurts a lot. I love going on those rants with you, though. They're fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. You know what time it is? Almost. Thursday Night Football starts and sits coming your way. But first, we got to get a quick word. And you know who we're talking about, man. We're talking about our friends at Gooder, baby. Gooder sunglasses. Oh, man. I'm talking stylish sunnies starting at only $25 a pair. They got a 1-year warranty. 30-day money guarantee. Free from vibrant colors to sleek styles, there's a pair of Gooders for every personality, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and more, baby. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder is giving Fourth and Flex listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/flex and use code FLEX for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee with 100% satisfaction. Again, that's gooder.com/flex and use code FLEX for free shipping, Trey.
Do it.
You love them Gooders?
Yeah, man, I love them Gooders, and a lot of people, they thought Christian McCaffrey was going to be Gooder this year. Just go out and get you some sunglasses. We can guarantee these are Gooder.
Yeah, and you're not going to get these at the 101, baby. I don't know what that means, but it sounds provocative, Trey. Gooder, man.
People going.
They're great guys over there. We love Gooder sunglasses, man. Big supporters.
Gooder guys over there.
Great guys over there, honestly. Just check them out, man. They're cheap sunglasses and they last. And they're these right here, the Chuckies. They got the Chucks. We call them the Chucks, man. Bride of Chucky. You got Chucky on one side, Tiffany on the other. I'm just saying, man, there's all kinds of cool ones, man. I got the Back to the Futures right here. This is 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts.
Great Scott. They're beautiful, man. They're beautiful. But okay, guys. All right. Now it's time to get to Thursday night football. Starts and sits, baby. This week, Trey, is going to be a banger. We got the Packers at the Lions.
Over under for this game is 48 points. Vegas have the Lions picked to win by 4. And baby, you know what it is. I got to roar with the Lions this year.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. They've lost one game. Do you know who beat them in that one game?
Yeah, I think it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Made them look soft.
Was that week 2?
I don't know, one of those weeks. It was down there in ways. No, but yeah. I'm taking the Lions, I think, too. But I think it's going to be closer than we realize because the Packers have been hot, Trey.
The Packers have been hot, but the Packers have been lukewarm a little bit lately. They were underratedly hot, and then they were like a little more accurately ratedly hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that assumption. Let's get to some Packers starts, Trey. I like Jordan Love as a start. Josh Jacobs, you're going to keep starting him up. I know he's questionable. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Christian Watson, I like as a start in this game against this Lions D. Tucker Kraft, man, he's just been a must start all season long. I know you've been doing that. And then I like Jaden Reed to catch a long bomb and a TD in this game, Trey. What do you think?
I can dig it.
It's so hard. Like, when I got the Packers, I was like, I wish I got the Lions because, like, you never know which wide receivers.
That's the problem with the Packers is, like, is it Christian Watson's week? Is it Jaden Reed's week? Is it Romeo Dobbs' week?
Or is Bo Melton going to come out of nowhere and catch 3 touchdowns?
Very true. All you know that you can rely on is Tucker Kraft, baby.
Exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Trey.
But anyway, jumping to our Lions starts, a lot easier here. You're starting Jared Goff. You're starting Montgomery. You're starting Gibbs. You're starting Amon-Ra. And you're starting J-Mo Williams. However, you're benching Sam Laporta.
Oh, okay.
I don't want it. I don't even know why he's still on my team.
You got him still?
Yeah, and I've started Tucker Kraft over him every week since week 2.
Like a wasted spot.
It does, but I can't. Like, I'm just waiting, right? Every week, I'm like, just one more week. Maybe he's going to really start to go off. And I'm like, at this point, there's no more weeks, Laporta.
Yeah, throw him in the gag bag. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really good matchup, though. Packers, Lions, Thursday night football. I'm excited for this one, Trey.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a solid one.
And I just want to give a shout out to Herb Street. That guy on Thursday Night Football, I actually like him, Kirk Herbstreit. Listen to him break down plays. He knows his stuff, man. Shout out to Kirk Herbstreit, man. Keep doing what you're doing, player. Keep doing it.
I thought you were going to say a Stroud out. And I thought that was like a play on CJ Stroud. And I was like, man, we are doing the name play today.
No, I just, fumbling around my words. You know me.
It's all good.
Oh, man. It's been great, Trey. Fantasy season is being wrapped up, buddy. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling lively. I'm feeling charged. We play in so many leagues, but when it gets down to playoff time, you slowly start putting your favorite ones at the top, and you really devote all your energy to those guys. And that's why I like playing in multiple leagues anyway. You know what I mean? So that way you don't lose that one league and you're like, oh, well, that was the whole year. You get more opportunities and you invest more time, and you're like, it's almost like stocks. You know what I mean? You're putting more money into this one because this one's paying off, and then once it really pays off and you get that championship, woo, Woo! You trying to buy the company?
Boy, oh boy, I really want a Bandy Bowl championship this year, man. It's called the Bandy Bowl. I've won it previously, but it wasn't called the Bandy Bowl at that time, man. So I really want a Bandy Bowl victory, Trey.
So sad for you.
You want one for me or no?
Oh, it's mine.
We're going to see because you got, I mean, I beat you already once this year, just saying.
Yeah, and you probably going to beat me twice this year, but you ain't going to beat me 3 times, Bandy.
We're going to see, man. We're going to see, man. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we shall see thee on the next one.
Peace out. Balls to steal this guy. He's got big balls.